Oh, we continue our focus on the cost of living, and it's constantly rising, isn't it? Well, people are spending less now on entertainment and eating out and shopping. Never mind now the latest fuel price hikes are going to influence how far people are willing to travel to buy their goods. So what does this actually mean for large shopping centres? Let's get the thoughts then of FNB Property Strategist John Loos. John, morning. Good to have you back on eNCA. Always a pleasure. And here's the problem as well, is we had this issue with shopping centres during COVID-19, didn't we? A, most of the stores were closed, and then B, when they did open up, no one had money to go, and now we're dealing with the increased cost of living. It's not a good time to own property in a shopping centre, I imagine.
Well, yes, look, it's a significantly better time than it was in the hard lockdowns of 2020, and it'll probably stay that way even despite high fuel prices. But the petrol prices do add some significant additional pressure. They obviously take petrol spends many people can't avoid, so they have to carry on spending on petrol at higher prices, and so they have to reprioritize their expenditure. What one would expect is that non-essential items, the eating out, the movies, the non-essentials and the luxuries, and also postponable essentials, so the lower frequency purchases, be it clothing or footwear, can take a bit of a backseat for many while they get through this period of high fuel prices. And then if you translate it to what type of shopping centres that would impact more on, it would be possibly, I think, the bigger ones, the regional ones, whose focus is less on groceries and essential items shopping and more on those type of items that I've mentioned. So it's sort of, relatively speaking, is a disadvantage possibly for the bigger shopping centres and less so for the smaller convenience ones that are focused on the high frequency food and groceries more.
So from a strategy perspective then, what does a big regional shopping centre do in a case like this? Because all of the tenants inside the shopping centres have to pay rent. For example, you don't want to be losing tenants if they can't afford to keep going. So as a property owner of a big shopping centre, what do you advise them? John, how do we try and get through this as a business owner?
Yeah, look, it's tough for me to advise shopping centre owners. I think they would know better than me how to manage their tenants' well-being through this period. Fortunately, normally high fuel prices and oil price spikes in the world don't last that long. You tend to find that if we look at historic spikes, the 2008 one and the 1970s ones, so it's a relatively short period. Normally up go oil prices, and it does two things. It firstly cools the world economy slightly and then cools global demand, and that brings prices down. But it also encourages certain OPEC members to start pumping more, and supply gets better. So it's probably not a long period, but during that time, they would have to see, I guess, that certain of their tenants make it through there, because it could be a financially a more pressured time than what it has been not so long ago.
What do you think was more damaging, or can you not separate COVID-19 from this cost of living at the moment? What do you think is more damaging financially for property owners?
No, I think the COVID-19, the hard lockdowns of 2020 was more damaging. I mean, it was a deep recession, 6.4%, if I remember, of GDP contraction, and many shops, especially in the bigger centres, just shutting down, zero income. We're not talking about lower income, their revenues, we're talking about nothing. They were closed. So that was a particularly rough time. This type of petrol price spike is nothing near to that, fortunately. It just puts additional pressure on consumers, forces some reprioritization of expenditures, and luxury, non-essential type stuff suffers more so than essentials. But no, it's nowhere near, I don't think, to what the hard lockdowns were.
John, I'm going to say thank you then for the moment. Always good to have you on eNCA. FNB Property Strategist John Loos. So it's amazing how this fuel price having a knock-on effect into shopping centres as well. Why? It's changed how we can spend the little bit that we do have. 25